I'm Brad Coulter, and this is Looking Back. This story is a snapshot in time, 1952 Connersville. October 1952 in Connersville was a tumultuous time. The average hustle and bustle locally, 7 years after the end of the Second World War, was busy and noisy, to say the least. Connersville had become a city where things were built, and our little city was growing faster than ever. But things during this October were more out of sorts than usual. The News Each Day from Korea headlined the News Examiner with a story about the position of the troops and whether our boys' efforts had gained or lost ground. The battles of White Horse Mountain, Sniper Ridge, and Triangle Hill were the news of the day. A national coal strike threatened to shut down half the country, and by the middle of the month had President Truman and labor leaders at each other's throats. The rising cost of living had been a nagging problem since 1946, but had grown 17% in the last 2 years, and local workers' wages were hardly keeping up. The labor struggles had worked their way to the local level as the UAW was near a work stoppage at Roots Blower. The new medium of television was beginning to reach the masses, and nearly every business in Connersville was trying to get in on the action. The number of homes that had TV nationwide in 1950 was 9%, but by 1960 would reach 90%. So in 1952, everyone that didn't have a TV was trying to figure out how to get one. The average cost was $299. Keep in mind, in today's dollars, it would be equivalent to $2,800. Connersville had several businesses offering television. Guarantee Auto had a 17-inch model for $229 with $23 down and $3.50 per week. Hanson Appliances at 115 West 7th Street had a 17-inch for $189.95 cash only. Hastings on East 5th Street had a 21-inch for $399, and they would give you $80 for your old radio and trade. Hebe TV sales at 216 West 19th Street also had a payment plan. Locally, the news wasn't much better. Mayor Glenn Henderson was under indictment for embezzlement and a slew of other charges related to his clerk-treasurer and some missing funds. The whole month was filled with news of jury selection and lawyer maneuvering, and it led to quite an unrest in the community, as Mayor Henderson was quite a beloved figure. Eventually, a special judge determined the whole thing was baseless, and the charges against the mayor were abated. A local juvenile vandalism problem became so serious during the month that a 10 p.m. curfew was instituted until the situation calmed down. Quite a number of neon signs were destroyed, and tankers of fuel oil were emptied onto the ground. The culprits were finally apprehended and their parents held responsible. A neon sign at Gutman's Trading Post had been shot, but it was determined the sign wasn't working before the vandalism. On the other hand, some good things were going on also. Bev Dixon was planning a Santa Claus review to raise funds for the E.W. Tapman Christmas Fund. At least 100 dancers were expected to participate in the elaborate production. The Fayette Community Fund had kicked off its annual drive, and the goal was nearly $40,000. The total would eventually be met with big contributions from Rex, Stant, McQuay Norris, American Kitchens, and other manufacturing employers. All this uproar was leading to a rousing election season. Both candidates for governor were in Connersville for major outdoor rallies. Local Republican Chairman Paul Tingle introduced eventual Governor Craig, and local Democrat Party Chair Eddie Volz introduced Governor Schricker to town. Political rallies in those days were held in the park, and many thousands of people would attend to hear the speakers, as there was no other way to get a look at them. Finally, it was Election Day, and 12,268 voters showed up to vote out of 16,000 registered. This amounted to an astounding 76%. Dwight Eisenhower was elected president, and all the Republicans swept into office with him from the top of the ticket to the bottom. Things soon settled down and Connersville got back to work. Within the next year, a new Rex plant on the north end of town that would employ thousands of people was announced. Also, a new wastewater plant and the Spartan Bowl were soon to come. By the end of the decade, D&M would be making dishwashers, and anyone in town that wanted to work had a good paying job. Turns out, an uproarious 1952 led to probably the best generation of profound success and prominence Connersville had ever seen.